A young girl and her mother despise each other and have a lot of issues between them. They end up being locked inside a compound, and just when things couldn't get worse, the world comes to an end. While they're confined, a strange virus begins to spread, turning people into zombie-like creatures and doing something so bizarre that we've never seen it before. The big question is, will the girl and her mother survive all of this, or is this really the end? That's what we're about to find out in today's video. The film opens with an old woman. And wait, before we go any further, if you haven't already, please hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, or at least drop a comment with some cute little hearts. Seriously, nothing else but a like and a comment full of hearts, please. Alright then, let's dive into the video. The movie begins with an elderly woman who goes over to check on her pet bird, which she cares for deeply. When she arrives at the bird cage, she notices there's no food inside, so she leaves it there, planning to come back with some food. However, when she returns, her bird is nowhere to be found. We then see that the bird is in the hands of her husband, who is in the process of killing it. It becomes obvious that her husband is either ill or not in his right mind. Something just isn't right with him, but we don't linger on him for long. Instead, we shift our focus to Jaffe and his daughter Tata, who are sitting in a car on the street, chatting away. From their conversation, we learn that Iris, Tata's mother, and Jaffe, her father, are living with one of Iris's friends in this place. At this point, Jaffe is supposed to take Tata somewhere. However, Tata keeps trying to manipulate Jaffe into keeping her with him, even though her mother Iris doesn't really want her around. Jaffe tells her that what she's saying isn't right. Eventually, Jaffe takes Tata and brings her to her mother, Iris, who then instructs Jaffe to take Tata with him and leave since she's off to work and doesn't have time. But Jaffe refuses to do so, which forces Iris to decide to take Tata along to work herself. Naturally, Tata overhears everything and is upset that her mother doesn't want her around. Not long after, Iris takes Tata so they can head to work together. Just before leaving the building, Tata suddenly sees a strange-looking person standing in front of her, only for that person to dash away as if he's being chased. Tata is completely baffled by the encounter. Nevertheless, Iris picks her up, and they continue on their way to work. While en route, they notice a car parked on the side of the road, left open. Iris is surprised and asks a security guard named David, who works near her job, if he recognizes the car. David tells her he has no idea who it belongs to. Not too worried by that, Iris takes Tata and goes to work. Iris's job is at a large complex that includes a playground, a swimming pool, and a gym, essentially a club, and she's responsible for guarding it at night. Later on, Iris wanders around the complex with Tata watching her. At one point, Iris takes Tata to the playground and tells her to play for a bit while she goes off to inspect the entire area to make sure everything is safe. Tata agrees, and before leaving, Iris hands her a walkie-talkie so that they can stay in touch. With that done, Iris begins her patrol. She heads to the monitoring room to watch the security cameras covering the entire compound. Once she's finished, she leaves to check on Tata, only to discover that suddenly the power has gone out. Iris rushes to the generator and manages to get it running again. While doing so, she calls Tata to see if she's alright, and during their conversation, Tata brings up her brother Nico, who we learn died when he was just a child. It becomes clear from their talk that Iris feels somehow responsible for his death, and the topic ends abruptly as Iris is clearly shaken by Tata's words. Just as Iris is about to go back to Tata, she notices two people outside the club wildly beating each other, as if they've lost all control. Terrified, Iris calls the police, but no one answers her call. Sensing that something is terribly wrong, she calls out to David and asks why those two are fighting so violently. David explains that they're probably addicts, completely out of their minds. He then advises Iris to lock down the club to keep herself safe. Iris agrees and goes on to secure every door with a padlock. After doing that, she heads back to the playground to fetch Tata, but finds that Tata isn't there. Before Iris can figure out what's happening, she sees a strange, blood-soaked person jumping into the playground. This individual looks bizarre, covered in blood, silent, and screaming like a zombie. We soon understand that this man is infected by the virus that has transformed him into a ferocious, zombie-like creature. He charges at Iris in an attempt to kill her, but she manages to hit him, sending him crashing to the ground. Desperate for help, Iris goes to find David, only to discover that he has already been killed by another infected person. Shocked by the scene, Iris quickly gathers herself and returns to the monitoring room, where she spots Tada hiding in one of the rooms, a room that even has a landline telephone. Iris uses the phone to call Tada, who replies, explaining that a group of terrifying intruders had broken into the compound, so she fled and hid. Iris urgently instructs Tada to lock herself in securely until help arrives. Hurrying out to find Tada, Iris suddenly finds herself confronted by another infected person. She quickly hides under a desk, and although the infected doesn't notice her, it does spot a cat. The creature grabs the cat and viciously beats it. Iris is horrified by what she sees, but remains silent. After a while, the infected eventually moves on, and Iris leaves her hiding spot to search for Tada again. However, before she can reach Tada, Iris finds another safe spot and starts reviewing the security camera footage on her mobile phone. In one of the recordings, she notices that the infected man who was brutally attacking the cat suddenly freezes, like a statue, for exactly 32 seconds. This startling observation leads her to understand that every infected person goes through a 32-second period of immobility after their outbursts before they resume their rampages. Keep that detail in mind. It's very important later on. Iris continues her patrol in search of her daughter, and eventually she reaches the swimming pool area. Suddenly, an infected person attacks her there, grabbing her and dragging her into the pool. Just when it seems all hope is lost, someone intervenes by pushing the infected away, rescuing Iris from the water. The rescuer introduces himself as Lewis, and he explains that the outbreak has turned people all over the world into creatures like the ones Iris has just seen. He also reveals that his wife was pregnant and that he had taken her to the hospital until infected people attacked them, forcing him to grab his wife and seek refuge here. Louis then asks Iris to come with him so that he can help deliver his wife. Initially, Iris refuses because she is determined to find Tada first. However, Louis promises to help her locate her daughter if she agrees to help him with his wife. Left with no choice, Iris reluctantly agrees. Louis then takes Iris to a room where his wife Mimi is waiting. When Iris arrives, she finds Mimi tied up and strapped into a wheelchair next to someone named Chris, and it's clear that Mimi is in very bad shape due to the virus. Horrified, Iris starts to suspect that Louis might be unstable, and she doesn't really want to help him deliver Mimi. Sensing her hesitation, Louis tells her that he knows exactly where Tada is. He warns that if she helps him, he'll tell her where Tada is. If she refuses, he won't say a word. Enraged by his manipulation, Iris grabs a knife to attack him, but Louis overpowers her. He chokes her while insisting that he doesn't want to kill her, he just needs her help. With no other choice, Iris agrees to cooperate. Louis then leads Iris and Mimi to a room stocked with medical supplies intended for delivering Mimi. As they walk along, they pass by a deserted swimming pool with no water. There, Iris finds a man lying in the pool, gravely injured and barely clinging to life. As she takes a closer look, she realizes that the man is Jaffe, her husband and Tada's father. Overcome with grief, Iris listens as Jaffe explains that when he first heard about the virus outbreak, he rushed to save her and Tada, only to become infected, and now he's dying. In their brief conversation, Jaffe reveals that their son Nico died because of Iris's negligence while he was swimming in the pool. He insists that it wasn't entirely her fault and that she shouldn't wallow in sorrow over it. With those final words, Jaffe succumbs in a heart-wrenching scene, leaving Iris inconsolable and in tears. Shortly afterward, Louis and Iris try to leave through the swimming pool, but before they can, they're ambushed by more infected people coming from every direction. Desperately thinking on her feet, Iris grabs some fireworks and flare guns she had on hand and lights them up, creating a dense cloud of smoke around her and Louis. The smoke is meant to conceal them from the infected, but unfortunately, the creatures still manage to overwhelm Louis, pushing him away from Iris. Meanwhile, one of the infected turns on Iris as well. Although she manages to fend it off and escape the pool, she is forced to hide nearby. While hiding, Iris realizes that one of the infected is heading straight for Mimi, intent on killing her. Iris screams at the infected to stop, and Louis quickly intervenes by killing the attacker. He then takes Mimi and carries her to the first aid room. There, Iris begins the difficult process of delivering Mimi. After a strenuous effort, she successfully helps Mimi give birth, pulling the baby out of her womb. In that fleeting moment, Mimi calms down. Louis assumes it's because she's seen her newborn and shows the baby to her. Meanwhile, Iris understands that this calm will only last for 32 seconds before she might spiral back into chaos. Panicked, she asks Louis to take the baby from her, but he hesitates. Suddenly, the power cuts out, and in the ensuing darkness, Mimi and the baby vanish from sight for both Iris and Louis. They immediately set out to search for them, eventually finding Mimi in a horrifying scene. She is trying to kill the baby. Without a moment's hesitation, Louis shoots Mimi dead and retrieves his son. At that moment, Louis informs Iris that Tada is in the boiler room. Grateful for the lead, Iris thanks him and lets him go on his way while she hurries off to find Tada. Iris roams through the compound until she reaches the boiler room, where she is struck with horror. She sees a little girl burning in one of the boilers. To her absolute devastation, she realizes that the little girl is none other than her daughter, Tada. Overwhelmed with grief and guilt, feeling as if she has lost Tada just like Nico, and convinced that it's all her fault, she pulls out her gun and decides to end her own life. But before she can go through with it, she hears a noise coming from one of the rooms. Curious and desperate, Iris goes to investigate and finds Tada inside. Overjoyed, she rushes to her daughter. Tada explains that there had been a father and daughter who managed to hide in the boiler room with her, but unfortunately, the infected caught up with them. The father was killed, and the daughter was set on fire. But thankfully, Tada managed to hide. Traumatized by the scene, Tada is in shock, and Iris does her best to comfort her. The two decide that they must leave the compound for good. Iris resolves that they will find any car they can, head to the port, board a boat, and sail away to safety. However, as they begin to leave, they find that the corridor ahead is completely swarmed with infected. Thinking quickly, Iris comes up with a brilliant plan. She waits for the infected to enter their 32-second period of immobility, the window during which they freeze in place. And then, taking advantage of that lull, she and Louis walk right through them. The infected, unable to react during that brief pause, can do nothing as they pass through the corridor. After successfully making it through, they manage to escape the compound and step out onto the street in search of a vehicle. Unfortunately, they find no car available. Determined, they head down once again into the corridors beneath the compound. There, they encounter Louis and his son lying ahead. Both are severely infected and seemingly resigned to their fate. Before they can help them, another infected suddenly appears. This creature lunges at Iris, seemingly intent on killing her, but at the last moment, Tada bravely intervenes and kills the attacker. Finally safe for the moment, Iris and Tada decide to leave the compound altogether and head toward the sea, where they hope to find true safety. And with that, the film comes to an end, leaving us with the hope that after everything they've been through and all the horrors they've witnessed, Iris and Tada will ultimately be safe. Thank you, my friend, for sticking with me until the end. I hope you enjoyed the film and that it lived up to your expectations. That's all for now. Goodbye.